podcast. Your host, Dr. KellyRae, is a renowned mindset coach and counselor, often referred to as the inner critic tamer. With a passion for guiding individuals through life's challenges, she specializes in personal growth and emotional healing. In each episode, Dr. KellyRae shares invaluable insights, practical strategies, and relatable stories designed to inspire you to take that first step toward positive change. So, grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and get ready to dive deep into meaningful conversations that empower you on your journey. Let's welcome Dr. KellyRae.
Hey there, and welcome back to the Beginning to the Week podcast. I'm Dr. KellyRae, your host, and as always, I'm so glad that you decided to spend some time with me today. You know, I've become acutely aware lately of how many people deeply crave connection, while simultaneously being terrified of being fully seen. I don't mean surface level seen, not social media seen, not polished version, not the I'm fine version. I mean fully seen. Seen in our vulnerability, seen in our fears, seen in our insecurities, imperfections, our needs, seen in our humanity. And honestly, I think many people don't necessarily fear connection itself. I think they fear what happens after someone truly sees them. Will they stay? Will they still love me? Will they still respect me? Will they still choose me? Because for many people, survival involved learning how to carefully manage how they were perceived, to stay likable, capable, strong, easygoing, successful, needed, but not too much, helpful, unproblematic. I love when I've heard women say, I'm low maintenance, not no maintenance. Like, why do we even have to say that at all? Because there's been a condition that says that you are high maintenance, right? And after a while, many people become so practiced at performing strength, they no longer know how to safely exist without the armor. So today I want to talk about emotional masking, the fear of vulnerability, why being fully seen can feel terrifying, and what happens when we finally stop abandoning ourselves in order to be accepted. So, wherever you are in the world, grab your coffee, settle in, and let's get this conversation going. You know, one thing I've realized over time is that many people become versions of themselves that helped them survive. The strong one, the funny one, the achiever, the caretaker, the peacekeeper, the independent one, the easygoing one, the emotionally unavailable one, the perfectionist, the helper. And often these identities don't form randomly. They form because of some point they created safety. Maybe being easygoing reduced conflict. Maybe being successful earned approval. Maybe being helpful created belonging. Maybe being emotionally guarded prevented disappointment. Maybe being strong kept life functioning. And honestly, I think many people spend years being rewarded for versions of themselves that are rooted in survival. People praise them, admire them, depend on them. But underneath it all, many people quietly wonder, if people truly saw me, all of me, would I still be loved? And honestly, that question can shape entire relationships, careers, friendships, marriages, families, even our relationships with ourselves. I think vulnerability becomes difficult when past experiences taught us that openness led to pain. Maybe somebody weaponized your emotions. Maybe your needs were dismissed. Maybe vulnerability was met with criticism, shame, rejection, abandonment, manipulation, disappointment. So the nervous system does what it does. It adapts. And over time, people learn, don't reveal too much. Stay composed. Don't let them know you care too much. Don't be too emotional. Don't burden people. Don't let people see you struggling. And eventually, emotional masking becomes automatic. I think this is especially shown up after painful relationships. You know, I've spoken with both men and women over the years who generally want love, want connection, want partnership, but internally are still carrying unresolved fear from previous experiences. So now when they meet someone new, instead of relaxing into connection, their nervous system immediately starts scanning for danger, looking for red flags, analyzing wording, watching for inconsistencies, questioning intentions, preparing for disappointment before the relationship has even had time to unfold naturally. And honestly, this doesn't make someone crazy. It often means they've been hurt before. Maybe they ignored red flags in past relationships. Lord knows I did. It was a circus. And I just said, let the show happen. At my own expense. Maybe they gave too much. Maybe they lost themselves trying to keep someone. Maybe they experienced betrayal, abandonment, manipulation, infidelity, emotional inconsistency, or heartbreak that deeply impacted them. So now part of them wants connection, while another part is terrified of repeating the pain. And I think many people live in this internal push-pull dynamic. Please love me, but don't hurt me. I want closeness, but I don't fully trust it. I want connection, but I'm afraid to relax. And honestly, that level of hypervigilance becomes exhausting. Because eventually you're no longer fully experiencing the relationship itself. You're managing fear inside the relationship. You smile while hurting. You function while exhausted. You comfort others while quietly unraveling yourself. And honestly, I think many high-functioning people are deeply lonely because very few people truly know what they carry internally. Not because others don't care, but because they've become incredibly skilled at hiding their emotional reality. I remember years ago going through a particularly difficult season emotionally while still showing up to work, smiling, helping others, functioning, and appearing completely fine. And I remember someone saying to me, "Wow, I don't know how you do it. How are you always so strong?" And what struck me was how disconnected that felt from what I was actually experiencing internally. Because sometimes what people call strength is actually someone silently surviving. I think one of the most exhausting things in life is constantly performing who you think you need to be in order to feel accepted. And I know many people will say, "Well, I don't do that." I don't know. You might be surprised. Performing confidence, performing perfection, performing strength, performing guardedness, performing happiness, performing a sense of I don't need anyone, performing success, performing emotional detachment. And I'll just say social media has amplified this in so many ways. People feel pressure to become brands instead of human beings, to appear healed, successful, unbothered, confident, and just thriving. Meanwhile, many people are quietly carrying grief, fear, loneliness, uncertainty, burnout, relationship struggles, nervous system exhaustion, or deep emotional pain behind the scenes. And honestly, I think part of why so many people feel emotionally disconnected is because they no longer feel safe being fully authentic. They fear judgment. They fear rejection. They fear disappointment, not being enough, being too much, being misunderstood. So instead, they perform versions of themselves they believe will be accepted more easily. Maybe even performing versions of themselves that they hope to attract in someone else. But the problem is, when people only know the performance, the real self often still feels unseen. And that creates loneliness, even inside connection. You know, I think one of the most healing experiences a person can have is being fully seen without being abandoned. To cry without being shamed. To struggle without losing your love. To express fear without losing respect. To be imperfect without losing connection. That changes people. I remember speaking with someone once who told me, "I don't even know how to let someone love me anymore without expecting it to disappear." And honestly, I think many people silently relate to that more than they realize. Especially after difficult relationships, after betrayal, after divorce, after abandonment, after emotional inconsistency, after giving your heart to someone who mishandled it. Sometimes people don't realize how deeply those experiences affected them until someone genuinely kind enters their life. And instead of feeling peaceful, they feel anxious. Because healthy connection can actually feel unfamiliar to a nervous system conditioned by unpredictability. I think many of us know what it feels like to meet someone kind, and still feel our nervous system waiting for disappointment. So instead of relaxing, people start waiting for the other shoe to drop, questioning kindness, questioning consistency, questioning intention, questioning whether it's too good to be true. Not because they want to sabotage love, but because part of them is still trying to protect themselves from reliving pain. And this happens to both men and women. I think there are many emotionally guarded men who deeply crave connection, but struggle expressing vulnerability because life taught them emotional openness wasn't safe. And there are many women who appear incredibly independent externally, while internally longing to feel emotionally safe enough to soften. At the core of both is often the same thing: the fear of being hurt again. Because real emotional safety isn't perfect. It's presence. It's knowing you don't have to constantly earn your worth through performance. And honestly, I think many people are still trying to learn what safe connection even feels like. Especially people who have spent years surviving emotionally. Again, this applies to both women and men in different ways. Many women were taught to stay pleasing, accommodating, emotionally aware, and relationally responsible. Many men were taught to suppress vulnerability, stay composed, provide, and emotionally endure silently. But underneath both experiences is often the same longing: to feel emotionally safe enough to simply be human. And maybe that's why being truly seen feels so vulnerable. Because it requires letting someone witness the parts of ourselves we once believed we had to hide in order to stay loved. I think healing eventually becomes less about becoming someone new and more about returning to who you were before survival convinced you that you had to perform for love. Before you believed your worth was tied to achievement, to strength, to usefulness, to perfection, to being emotionally easy for everyone. And honestly, I think part of emotional maturity is learning how to stay connected to yourself while allowing yourself to be seen gradually and safely. Not oversharing, not trauma dumping, not abandoning discernment, not jumping into a relationship quickly, but also no longer hiding your humanity behind armor all the time. Because there is such freedom in no longer needing to constantly perform worthiness. And maybe the right people in our lives were never asking us to be perfect in the first place. Maybe they were simply waiting for us to feel safe enough to be real. I've learned healing isn't just learning how to love again. It's learning how to feel safe enough to relax while being loved. This is also why nervous system healing matters so much. Because when the body has lived in survival mode for years, authenticity itself can feel unsafe. Rest can feel unsafe. Softness can feel unsafe. Visibility can feel unsafe. Receiving can feel unsafe. And healing often involves slowly teaching yourself that being fully human is no longer dangerous. So if you're listening to this today and realizing how much energy you spend trying to hold together certain versions of yourself, I want you to know that you're not alone. Many people learn very early in life that love, approval, safety, or belonging felt conditional. And because of that, they became incredibly skilled at shaping themselves into who they believed they needed to be. But maybe healing isn't continuing to perfect the performance. Maybe healing is finally allowing yourself to be seen. Not recklessly, not all at once, but safely, honestly, gradually. Because the right people won't only love your strength, they'll make space for your humanity too. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. And wherever you are in the world, please know I'm sending you so much love, encouragement, and support as you continue getting through your week. Be gentle with yourself out there. Until next time, my beautiful friends, take care of yourselves and each other.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Getting Through the Week podcast with Dr. KellyRae. If you're looking to connect with her or schedule an appointment, here's how you can reach her. Follow her on Instagram at AskDrKellyRae. Check out her Facebook page at Dr. KellyRae. Find her on TikTok at Dr. KellyRae. Visit her website at drkellyrae.com. Or send her an email at drkellyrae@gmail.com. Until next week, Dr. KellyRae sends you so much love.